When you were growing up, how many people around you had a passion for filmmaking?
My dad was definitely a film lover, for sure. His favorite was Fellini. He loved Fellini. And so he instilled that love of Fellini, which then for me branched off into a love of fine arts, of theater, and also film. And my mother also, she loves to watch film, so does my sister. But I think it was definitely my dad's, love of Fellini that kind of started everything else.
And you grew up where?
I grew up in Portugal, specifically Lisbon.
And that's the capital, is that right? Oh, okay. But then you went to school. When did you decide you were going to leave Portugal?
So I decided I was going to leave when I applied for art school in London. And I went to the Slade School of Fine Art, which is part of University College London.
Oh, wow.
So that's when I started my undergraduate degree in fine art media, which was basically more kind of video art, performance art, sound as well. So it was mainly kind of video installations was kind of what I was doing most of all.
And when you talk with the other students there, were they also Fellini lovers? Did they remember those films, or because they were from all over, they chose different directors?
I mean, they were from all over, but I think that you can say for most video artists, at least the ones that I met, that even if they weren't making commercial film, that they were still very aware of cinema and to a certain extent, loved all the aspects of it. And there were even some students that did incorporate actual clips from films in their work, but then kind of, remixing them, deconstructing them in kind of more experimental ways. I remember there was one graduate student who he took a clip from Taxi Driver, and he extended it out so that there's this 360 degrees shot that he just kept going forever. That was a video installation. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it was always present. The world of film was always present, even in the experimental world.
And when you would watch these Fellini movies with your father, was it almost like film theory, or you were just watching it for sheer enjoyment? You weren't analyzing it, or?
I was definitely watching it for the enjoyment, for sure, and especially Amarcord, I think really kind of strikes a note with that older Mediterranean generation, because there's so much crossover with Catholicism and the church, but then burgeoning teenage sexuality, and then how that plays out. And I think that I only really started to look at Fellini's work theoretically when I was in art school and I had to write a dissertation about his work, and then tying that in with Jungian archetypes.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of a lot of his films kind of lend themselves to those kind of readings, because he plays so much with the female archetype, with the anima.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was do you remember the exact title of your dissertation?
I think it was an exploration of feminine archetypes in the films of Fellini, I think. Something along those lines. Yeah.
And just one last question, what archetype did he tend to go with most, or was there not one that he went with most?
I think that it was, definitely the Madonna. That archetype that exists in a lot of, Catholic cultures, Mediterranean cultures, the Virgin Mother, but then kind of juxtaposing that archetype with the more, the Whore of Babylon, kind of the two sides of the same coin, but two archetypes that seem to be very present in the male psyche, especially in the Mediterranean.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
Have you always been the one who's liked to tell stories around you, especially growing up?
I have to say, I think that I was more the one who likes to listen to stories. I think maybe I think because I started off acting actually when I was a teenager. And that was probably for me to kind of get out of my shell a bit more, because I was a bit quiet and I was a bit withdrawn. And I think as an actor, when you're on stage and when you're in front of a camera, you're the one telling a story, with your body, with your voice. So I did that for a bit, but then I think I had the desire to tell my stories, but then to collaborate with actors for them to actually embody those stories. But to answer your question, I think I loved reading growing up, and I loved just listening to any anecdote, any story. You know, I would always, with my girlfriends or with my friends, it was always, you know, tell me what you did for your weekend. I want to know everything. Like I was more the one who absorbed the narratives around me than actually, you know, talked about what I did for my weekend.
And how did you know you'd be good with a camera?
Well, I think I only really started working with cameras when I went to art school and I was doing video art. So like I had my own camera and I was making my own little experimental films. So that's when I really learned like the ins and outs of a video camera. And then when I left art school, I had a lot of friends who worked in TV and media production, and they were the ones who said, you know, why don't you apply for camera assistant jobs? Because, you know, you seem to have a lot of technical, practical knowledge. And that's how that started. And now I can say I know my way around more high-end cameras than back in the day.